Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the celebration of life for Charles Yukio Shiroma. I'm Aaron Johansson, one of Uncle Charlie's nephews, and I have the privilege of serving as your MC today. I just want to say thank you all so much on behalf of the family for being here to celebrate the life of such a great man. Just personally, for as long as I can remember, his artwork has adorned our house. The whimsical metal figurines of my childhood eventually evolved into his copper art pieces that you see in the back as you came in. And as I grew up, his artwork became a fixture of every office I've ever had, often serving as really amazing conversational pieces. And now when I reflect back, I think it's so fitting because that's how I picture Uncle Charlie, happily talking about them at craft fairs with customers for hours on end. Whether in the mechanical, musical, or artistic world, Uncle Charlie really embodied the ideal of a Renaissance man, but without any hint of stuffy or elitist airs that the term usually conveys. For someone so talented in so many areas, he constantly exuded a genuine humility and a great sense of humor. Since high school, I could always tell what kind of shape I was in by how he would greet me. Without fail, it was either one of two ways. It was either, "Ooh, you getting taller, huh?" Or, "Ooh, you getting bigger, eh?" The last few years, he would follow it up with, "Maybe I'm getting shorter." His smile, humor, and the sparkle in his eye, which you can see in the picture, and his loving good nature are forever the way I'll remember Uncle Charlie.
When I was in high school, I can remember him. I used to ride dirt bikes on Sand Island, and I remember him working at the H yard with my dad. My dad used to weld down there, and Uncle Charlie would do this body and fender work. And I was just always amazed that he could see the finished product before he was done, and he would just step by step do and his work. And when he's done with the vehicle he's working on, it was just so amazing. I kind of wondered, how did he know how to do this? But he continued that on, and when he no longer did his body and fender work, it carried over into his metal sculpture. And if you know some of his works, one of my favorite is the huge copper ornament at Nico's. And when you walk in and you see it on the wall, you kind of wonder, how could he do this? It's so amazing. And I think God has gifted him with that ability to see what hasn't been done yet and do it until it comes to pass, until you see the finished product. And it's so amazing to me that his talent and his ability, and yet his humility, when you talk to him, and it's like, I just do what I enjoy, and that's good. But I think that his artwork is inspiring and has blessed so many people. And that was his gift to us. It was God's gift to him, and it was his gift to us. So we get to enjoy the gift and talent that God put in him, and we can see how it comes about in everyday life. So this psalm about the goodness of God reminds me of the goodness that filled Uncle Charlie, his life, his family, his work. It is amazing to me, and it is a blessing to me that he was such a gifted and talented man. He had such a wonderful and loving family, and he was humble in heart.
Charles Yukio Shiroma was born in 1932. This photo was taken in 1936 when he was just 4 years old. His father, Nabe, immigrated from Gaja village in Okinawa, taking a 13-day trip over the ocean on the SSS Korea and arriving in Hawaii in 1908 at the age of 24 with just $3 in his pocket. Nabe worked for Eva Plantation as a field laborer in the sugar industry. Dad was the youngest of 7 siblings. There was a 14-year difference between his oldest sister Sadako and himself. 3 sisters, 3 brothers, Sadako, Dachi, Tsuru, Natsuno, Sam, Mitz, and there's my dad, the youngest one. Dad's mom, Kama, was from the same village, Gaja, and she also had the same last name before and after she got married. She arrived as a picture bride in Hawaii aboard the SS Mongolia in 1912 at the age of 23, but she only had $1 in her pocket. She was a housewife who tended to her vegetable garden. They built their own piggery and sold pigs to Tamashiro Market. Here's the family 27 years later. You can see Auntie Betty on the left holding Scott in her lap, and Auntie Betty on the right holding Allison. Scott and Allison are right here in the audience today. I'm actually the same age as Scott, so you may be wondering, where's my family? Well, Mom and Dad were living in California at the time. At the time of the 2015 reunion that my cousin Lena organized, thank you, Lena, there were 81 descendants of this family, 7 Nisei, 21 Sansei, what my sister would call the Sansei collection, 34 Yonsei, and 19 Gosei. This photo is from 1976. This is the last known photo of all 7 siblings together celebrating Babang's 88th birthday. We were so fortunate that she lived an additional 13 years, all the way just shy of 102 years old. Dad was born in Eva in B Village, house number 70. It was also known as Banana Camp, and today it's Verona Village. It's still standing in Eva. And they moved to C Village, house number 30, when Dad was 6 or 7 years old. Cousins that are my age, you remember this is the same house on Malia Street. I'd just like to share a couple of stories from his youth. Dad has a clear memory of what happened on the morning of December 7th, 1941. He and his brother Mitz were walking to church, but for some reason the church was closed. So they started walking back, and that's where Dad and Mitz saw the Japanese airplanes flying so close to them with their cockpits open that they could actually see the faces of the pilots. Another story, not so serious. My dad was caught smoking at Waipahu High School and had to be punished by going to detention on the weekends. But what he actually told his mother was that he was volunteering on the weekends to go clean up the campus. And all she would say is, "Oh, good boy." You see this bike? Keep that in the back of your mind. You'll hear the backstory in his own words. Dad graduated from Waipahu High School in 1951, and a few months later, he took his first plane ride with a buddy to enlist in the U.S. Air Force in San Francisco. After that, he had training in Texas, Oklahoma, and Wyoming, and then was stationed in the Philippines and Okinawa. The song you're hearing in the background is Stars and Stripes Forever. It's a song that he mastered on a Martin ukulele that his brother Dutchie bought for him in the 9th grade for $34.50. It's the same ukulele that would later accompany him all over the U.S. when he served in the Air Force. He couldn't read music, so everything he learned was self-taught, and he even won a contest playing the song Jealousy. Here he is at mail call. According to this newspaper article, he had the most care packages of everyone in the platoon. Mom and Dad first met at a Farrington High School dance in 1951, just before he was about to enlist in the Air Force, and Mom was just a few months away from graduating in high school. 7 years would pass with Dad's military service on the mainland and abroad, and Mom working in New York and California, and they eventually got married in 1958. We're so happy that Uncle Hiroshi is right here. Looks so young. Cynthia, Auntie Sue, the handsome couple. Moss is already also here as the best man. Uncle Mitz, and our beautiful flower girl, Kathy. Just like Dad's mom was a Shiroma before she got married, my mom was also a Shiroma before she got married. Well, this love story didn't end there. It actually lasted for over 64 years. And I'm continuing to learn things. Just a couple of weeks ago, my mom showed me a stack of letters this thick that Dad had wrote to her when they were away. I never knew my dad was a letter writer. But she still kept all those letters. A few years ago, Mom and Dad were in the dentist's waiting room, and an assistant came up and asked them, "How long have you been married?" And my mom said, "Oh, 60-something years." And the assistant said, "Really? And you still love each other?" And my mom, not skipping a beat, said, "More than ever." And everyone in the waiting room applauded. Mom and Dad left for Los Angeles in California in 1959 and had 2 boys. I've seen this photo over and over again for the over 50 years, but as I was putting this thing together, this is the first time I realized that I was wearing shoes in bed. Sure sign of a katonk. The family moved back to Hawaii in 1967, eventually settling into Kaneohe, right back here, in the same house we've had for over 50 years. We've had a number of pets. I had a chicken as a kindergartner, and then we had 2 dogs. I had a virgin fish named Mary, chameleons, Squeaky the guinea pig, Herman the turtle. Oh, and I almost forgot. We also had a sister named Stacy. Here's some favorite memories from each of the kids. I always remember going camping with Uncle Sam's family. That was one of my favorite things. And at Mokuleia, I had a brownie camera as a door prize. And this is a picture I took. I still think as an 8-year-old, this is better than any picture I ever took as an adult. Chris's favorite memory, after camping, we'd go to Kahana Bay and Dad would push him on the surfboard. And for Stacy, her favorite memory was always making something with Dad. And this is her earliest memory of him making jigsaw puzzles with her. CJ Metal Creations was born out of Dad's skill and love for all things metal. They had their first fair out of their home in 1987, and the first public fair was at Ben Parker Elementary here in Kaneohe in 1989. CJ Metal would continue doing craft fairs for the next 27 years, and they had their last one in 2014. As Carl mentioned, I think his most recognizable piece of art is the life-size opa that Nico specially commissioned for him. And I loved going to Uncle's Fish Market a across the parking lot. I didn't really eat at Nico's, but I would always take my friends over just to see the fish at Nico's. That was one of my favorite things to do. Governor Lingle visited my father. My dad's artwork was also in Governor Abercrombie's office. Also, Mazie Hirono and Jill Takuda also have his artwork. First Hawaiian Bank commissioned him to do 250 hokulea for their top 250 businesses. Here's Dad with one of his pieces of art. It actually made it to the front page of the Honolulu Advertiser in 2007. In 2005, Manolo Morales from KHON TV came and did an interview. And after he was done talking to my dad, he took the mic to my mom. This was all on TV. "And what do you do, Mrs. Shiroma?" And she said, "I'm the whipper. I tell him what to do." This was all based on a piece that you can find in the back of the room. Dad had been working on this piece in secret and then gave it to her on Mother's Day. When I found out, I said, "Isn't that mean?" And my mom said, "It's not mean at all. He should have made the whip even longer." This concludes my eulogy. I'll just leave you with some of my favorite shots.
On behalf of my family, I want to thank all of you for joining us in celebrating my dad's life. We're so appreciative of the support and the love you've given us, not just today, but throughout the years. Even at the age of 90, my dad was so full of life, so young at heart, that I don't think any of us ever really imagined a world without him. And I truly believe that my dad had two great passions in life that kept him young. One was his overwhelming love for my mom, and the other was his intense love for creating things. He grew into his craft, his artistry, later in life, but when it took hold, boy did it flourish. His workshop came alive every day with sounds of grinding, hammering, and sanding, and faint Hawaiian music playing from his radio. Some days there were paint fumes in the air. Other days it was just the smell of rain coming over the ko'olaus. His workbench was neatly lined with tools, some that he'd modified for a specific application, and some that he'd made entirely from scratch in an interesting Frankenstein sort of way. Except for the washer and dryer, Every inch of the back patio had been outfitted as a true craftsman's workshop. It's the place where Dad transformed his ideas into sketches, sketches into prototypes, prototypes into art. It was a creative oasis where Dad made everything. About 9 years ago, we dreamed up an idea to interview Dad about his craft work and shoot some footage from my parents' very last craft fair in hopes of creating a special video keepsake for the family. We'd like to share this short film with you today in honor of my dad, the maker.
My name is Charlie Shiroma, and I do metalwork. In fact, I started metalworking about 45 years already. Because I used to do body work. When was that? Maybe about 1954, 53. That's when I started. I went to school maybe about 2-3 months. That what they were teaching I already knew, so I quit and just went to work. And we went to the mainland for about 8.5 years. I was doing body work all those times. And this was on piecework, like commission basis. If you work hard, you get good pay. And if you no work, no pay. When I was in the service, I was a mechanic, like a aircraft mechanic. So, during the break time, my boss used to fix cars for somebody else. So I was kind of interested in that, just banging away. Hey, that might be a good trade. But I used to like working with my hands. Before that, I used to use my father's bike. I cut off the handlebars, cut the fenders, and put lights on it. Well, I can't afford to buy a new bike, so I had. Well, after my father retired, it was fun. I think the first copper pieces I made was this plaque. I had like 4 characters I used to make all the time, like love, good luck, happiness, and longevity. Just 4. So we just on a piece of copper plaque. And it used to sell good. But then I started going into copper, like making leaves, like that, monstera leaves, honu. And she's been asking me to make honus, turtles, for the longest time. I said, no. Then one day, maybe about 3 years later, I started making, and this got real popular. Even up to today, it's popular. But this is only for my, not pleasure, but there's something to do. Otherwise, I get bored. You just do what you want. When you want to stay in the house, you stay in the house. Not as though I have to do it, but I want to do it. That's the difference. Every job I have, everything I made is challenging, but then I try to overcome it and just try and try again. See, I think our first craft fair was at home. We called all our neighbors, and then it was pretty good. So we started making more. Then, what was our first one? Oh, Ben Parker. There's a school in Kaneohe. We started over there, and it was good. Then we just grew. I just make it, and then we decided to go to the fair, craft fairs. Then got popular. When was that? Like 27 years ago. We used to go all the way to Mililani High School. We used to do about 12, 14 fairs a year, and that's a lot. Like maybe one day fair like that. We got a lot of schools, McKinley, Kaimuki. It was fun, but it was a lot of work too, tiring. But especially these 3-day affairs, You know why? I think my stuff is very different from whoever sells, like craft fairs. They don't have too many people doing metal work too. That's why I think we're popular. Not popular, but we sell quite a bit. I mean, the old like customers, some keeps coming, every year. So it makes you feel good that they're still interested in this. Like this morning, there was the dentist. He's been buying from us for about 3-4 years, and every now and then he comes, and he has a new office at Kokini. So every room, examining room, he has something. So I like to see that. He got all the wall hangings we got. I think he bought one of each or something. Amazing. I don't think anybody else gonna do this kind of stuff, because I think they think I'm crazy. For selling things so cheap. Like even this big maple. So like maybe a sheet metal man that comes, say, how much is that? So I tell him how much. He says, you crazy. I say, why? He said, take so much time and then you sell them for cheap. But as long as I'm satisfied, as long as we make a booth fee, it's okay. I think. Not artist is something, like Satoru Abe or something. I think, I don't know. What is his name? Bompe Akagi. I consider them artists. On me, not yet. That's why I signed my name in the back. So I told people, when I get famous, I'll sign them in the front. And they call me, they say, oh, you're the artist. I said, no, I don't call myself an artist. I don't know what I call myself. So I tell people, I'm the maker.